Audie Leon Murphy, one of the most decorated American soldiers of World War II, was born June 20th, 1925 in Kingston, Texas. Murphy and his 7 siblings lived in poverty, which was exacerbated after his father abandoned the family, prompting Murphy to leave school and start working. In 1941, when he was 16, Murphy lost his mother, and his younger siblings were placed in orphanages or sent to live with relatives. In December of that same year, after the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, Murphy attempted to enlist in the armed forces, but the 5'7" youngster was told to wait until he was 18. In June of 1942, just a few days shy of his 17th birthday, Murphy presented a fake birth certificate he'd filed with the county to support his claim that he was 18, and was finally able to join the Army. Before leaving town, he promised his younger siblings that upon his return, he would purchase a house where they all could live. After he completed his training, Murphy sailed to Casablanca, and from there to Italy, where he took part in the invasion of Sicily. His company marched up through Italy and then took part in the invasion of southern France. Out of 235 men, Murphy and 1 supply sergeant were the only ones left at the end of the bloody journey. Throughout his trek through Europe, Murphy's skill and bravery earned him every U.S. military combat award for valor available from the U.S. Army. While his exploits can and have filled volumes, one worth noting happened in a French vineyard, where he single-handedly overtook an entire German garrison and captured 11 prisoners. On January 26, 1945, Murphy's actions during the Battle of Colmar Pocket in France earned him the Medal of Honor and the cover of magazines across the United States. According to eyewitnesses, while under withering attack from German soldiers, Murphy climbed atop a burning tank destroyer, commandeered a .50 caliber machine gun, and over the course of an hour held off an entire German infantry company as it desperately tried to take him out. A grateful French nation also awarded Murphy the French Croix de Guerre with Palm and Silver Star. As his combat tour ended, Murphy left Europe the most decorated combat veteran of World War II. Upon his return home, he kept his promise to his siblings, buying a house where they all resided together. After Murphy was featured on the cover of Life magazine, actor and producer James Cagney offered him film work in Hollywood. Though his career with Cagney was short-lived, Murphy remained in LA and started landing film roles. But life after combat wasn't all Hollywood stars and glamour. Murphy was one of the first veterans to acknowledge that he suffered from battle fatigue, now known as post-traumatic stress disorder.
Coming home again, I started to think about home for a change, which we didn't dare think of before, because, as you know, you live from day to day, minute to minute in most cases. And suddenly I was a little frightened. Strange as it might seem, I didn't know what I'd do when I got home, and I suddenly felt just a little empty inside and a little lonely about the whole thing. Although I was very happy the war was over, I suddenly didn't feel that I had a home.
In January of 1949, Murphy married actress Wanda Hendricks. The marriage was over by October of that year due to Murphy's erratic and at times violent behavior, which Hendricks later blamed on PTSD. 2 days after his divorce was finalized, Murphy married Pamela Archer, with whom he had 2 children. Also in 1949, Murphy published his autobiography, To Hell and Back, in which he described his experiences during World War II. In 1951, he was cast in The Red Badge of Courage, a film adaptation of the Civil War-era novel by the same name.
What are they marching us out of here for? Can't stand this much longer. Don't see any point to it at all.
Me neither. I sure would like to know what's going on. We're being reconnoitered around the center to keep the Rebs from coming too close. That's to develop them or something.
I'd rather do anything. Most go tramping around the country all day, doing no good to anybody, and just wearing your...
Although the film was directed by the now legendary John Huston, it was a box office failure. Unlike the much more successful 1955 film adaptation of To Hell and Back, in which Murphy played himself. It was Universal Studios' biggest film up to that date.
Hey, give me back my Thompson, will you? Quiet, you guys over there. Get ready to go.
You stay here and make sure those artillery people get up there all right.
Get moving!
Throughout the 1950s and early 60s, Murphy starred in numerous westerns, which he described as the same movie, just with different horses.
If I leave here, that boy goes with me.
Joey? Why do you want him?
Maybe for the good of his soul.
As the roles died down, Murphy started breeding racehorses. Although he earned a lot of money during his acting career, much of it was squandered on horse gambling and bad investments. And by 1968, Murphy had declared bankruptcy.
Hey, looks like we got another customer here. This is my son, Terry.
Hi, Jerry.
He played your little brother in your picture, didn't he, Audie?
Sure did. And you know what he did with the money he made? Invested it in savings bonds.
Did you really, Terry?
I surely did.
Those bonds will not only help take care of his future, but will help keep his America strong and free.
During that time, he also worked on behalf of veterans, including advocating for treatment for those suffering from PTSD. On May 28, 1971, Murphy was considering investing in a modular home company and boarded a flight from Atlanta, Georgia to Martinsville, Virginia, with other investors. His plane crashed in Roanoke, Virginia, only 50 miles from their destination, killing everyone on board.
In other news, Audie Murphy, the most decorated man of World War II, who went on to become a movie star, was found dead this afternoon in the wreckage of a light plane in the hills of Virginia. The plane went down on Friday afternoon near the top
In one
of the
last
mountain.
patriotic
The wreckage
gesture,
was located
Audie Murphy, who was 45 years old at the time, died during the weekend of Memorial Day. He was buried with full military honors at Arlington Cemetery. Murphy, who months earlier had stopped by the cemetery during a trip through Washington, D.C. to reserve a space there, requested a plain headstone instead of the more ornate one offered only to Medal of Honor recipients. The headstone bears the year 1924, which reflects the falsified date given to join the Army years earlier. Murphy's resting place is the second most visited site in Arlington Cemetery. From devastating poverty through the fields of war-ravaged Europe to the heights of fame, Audie Murphy courageously fought battles both real and psychological. Through it all, he remained humble and always credited those who fought alongside him for his accolades. Throughout his life, Murphy downplayed his medals, saying they were earned by all his comrades, many of whom did not live to receive them. In Hollywood, he was known for befriending the studio workers instead of the movie stars. During times when the word hero is used to describe athletes and entertainers, it's easy to forget that not too long ago, the term was reserved for people with real courage and nobility, people who risked their lives without question to fight for their comrades, for their country, for freedom. And among those heroes, there were none like Audie Murphy. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please comment and hit the like button, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel.